Hi, this is Ali from Tripoli and Rouge. In the last video that I made, I showed you how to make brass texture plates. These were made from an old letterbox and I drew my own designs with a Sharpie pen, etched them in ferric chloride, and so now I'm going to make some jewellery with this blossom plate. So I've got a customer that wants some handmade bead earrings and she wants a blossom texture, so I'm going to try this one. So what I've got are some bits of recycled silver here where I've melted down my scrap pot, and they're just big enough for me to cut a circle to make my beads. So the first thing I've done is anneal the pieces of scrap metal so they're nice and soft, and now I'm going to put them through the rolling mill with my blossom plate. Okay, so I've got my blossom texture plate and my piece of already flattened recycled silver. Pick the best side, which is that side. And I'm going to feed it through the rolling mill. I don't want it too tight because I don't want to flatten the pattern on the plate. So just sort of medium pressure. Roll it through, and there's my texture. That'll make some nice earrings. Okay, so now I'm going to cut some discs out using my Durston disc cutter. This is one of the pieces of kit that did cost me a bit more money, but so worth it because it cuts them so neat that you don't have to spend so much time afterwards tidying up the edges. So I'm going to put it pattern side down. I'm doing 13mm discs. Okay. And then with an old jobbing hammer, not one of your jeweling hammers, and there's my bead. There's my disc ready to make a bead from. So I'm going to make 3 more of these, back and front for the beads. The next thing I'm going to do is dome the discs in here with my dapping block to make the curve of the bead, but I don't want to ruin the pattern, so what I'm going to do is put double-sided sellotape, peel off the backing, then I put a bit of old rubber glove on top. So I've stuck on my rubber from the glove, and I'm going to peel it off here. And then I'm just going to cut round each disc. I'll just do the one for now. And then I can put it in my doming block. This is probably going to make the camera judder around. And then get my nice dome shape without ruining the pattern. You can see the dome forming there. It's not quite ready for that one yet. Back to that one. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all 4, and then I'm going to sand off the rough edge to make them flat so I can join them together. Now I've got my 4 little domes, and I'm just going to sand to get that edge, that pointy edge off the bottom. So I've got my 2 sides of the bead domed, and I've taken off the rough edge at the bottom to make them flat so that they'll go together nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do is just file a little dint in here to make the hole to put my wire through. So I'm just using a square needle file just to get it started. And then I'm going to take a round needle file. So I've got my first bead here ready to solder into one piece now. So I've got to line up the little holes I've made which the wire will go through. Okay, so flux it. And then I'm going to put them together and line them up. Okay. And then I'm going to set them up in my second-hand tweezers like so. And I'm going to do what's known as a pick solder. So I'm going to melt some solder on the end of my pick here and apply it once the bead is hot. I'm going to use my soft solder because there's not going to be any other joints to solder on the bead, so I don't have to worry about the strength of my solder. So I'll get my torch on. And then I've got my solder pallium here. I'm going to pick it up with my pick. Heat the bead. That should have travelled some of the way round, maybe not all the way round. So I might just apply a piece on the other side as well. The bead looks a bit mucky at the moment, but we'll pop it in the pickle and see how it comes out. While the bead is pickling, I'm going to make the wire to go through the bead and also the ear wires that will hang it. So I'm taking my 0.8mm wire, and I'm simply going to ball it up to make a beady type end. Okay, this one I'm going to use to make the ear wire. So I'm literally just going to roll that round. There's my wire. Now I'm going to ball it up again. And this is the bit that's going to go through the middle of the bead. So I've taken my bead out of the pickle and I've just very gently sanded on some fine mesh sandpaper just to soften the edges a bit. I've done a couple of minutes of that. Okay, so I've got my balled up wire here. I'm just going to feed it through the bead. And then make a loop at the top to hang the ear wire from. Snip off the end. I'll need to tidy that sharp edge up later on, but just to show you what it will look like. Blossom earring. So what I need to do is pickle, get all that in the pickle to get rid of all the dark torch stains, and then it's going to go in my tumbler for a few hours to shine it up. So here's the finished earrings. I've hung the beads from a little hammered loop and then from hand forged ear wires. I've oxidised them quite heavily. This customer likes her jewellery to be oxidised, and also I think it emphasises the blossom pattern quite nicely.